In terms of the new land, the curious thing has been what happens when this new land gets deposited, new territory arises, but new territory that first is open and protected and fenced off so people can't go on it, which becomes almost like a wildlife sanctuary. So there's this typical pattern of land creation, protection, and then development, and then having to relocate the wildlife. So that's one interesting aspect, I think. The other interesting thing I've discovered about the port is all of the animals that are native to the area that are flying by as migratory animals, let's say. But then there are the animals coming in from other countries on the ships that are arriving into the port that are very foreign to this area, that you could call invasive, which is a strange term for them, I think. Developing this project for the port has been fascinating for all of those dynamics. What I'm personally fascinated by are the moments where people accommodate very strategically wildlife within their constructions, whether that's a city or the port or whatever. I mean, the part that I'm most fascinated by is this back and forth between the most extreme version of human occupation, heavy industry, and animal occupation, and seeing how those two reconcile with each other, how they deal with each other. The previous editions of the Animal Estates project I've done have been very focused on construction, actually making things, prototypes that propose ways that animals could enter into the city and live in the city, native wildlife in particular. Here it's a different kind of project. Here it's really a storytelling project, looking at the roughly 24 species that we're studying, getting their stories of how they're getting by in the port or how they're living, cohabitating with humans, and then telling those stories in a lot of different ways, through a video, through a map, and then through these traffic signs that will be placed around the perimeter of the new land here at the port.
Wait.
Hearing stories is important because even if you can feel their presence or not, conceptually you then understand that they're around and they're here. So understanding that there's these sturgeon fish swimming out in the channel in the waters of the port that are swimming back and forth with these transponders on, so researchers know like how they're moving and if they're getting upstream to breed and things like that. There's no way I would know that unless someone had told me that. But now that I know it, I feel it. If you visit the port, you may see a few birds flying in the air, and you may not know what they are. But most of the real interesting stories about animals here are about creatures that are invisible to the visitor. You can't see them, you'll never see them. So in the video that we're making, for example, you will not see any animals in the video. There's no animals that you'll see. You'll just hear these stories about these animals as you see these big scenes of the port. So I think it's very important to consider the things that you can't see. And this is true, I think, when it comes to human occupation in a way. You can't just be sensitive to the things you can see. There's things you can't see that are happening that are very important. And the very fact that you can't see them is why they're important, because they're protected from you in some way. As soon as you can see them, then you're infringing on their territory.